My name is Daniel Eugene Kaminsky. Really, it was photography that brought me into drag performance. I had gone to some drag shows, but when I showed up with the camera, there was such a profound sense of happening. I started performing in 2018 myself. It was sort of a natural thing that was latent, that was awakened. I grew up racing cars. I started racing when I was 8 years old. I raced until I was 16. Clearly those are formative years. I came out when I was 14, so I was still racing. So identifying as gay in that space at such a young age became something that became normal to me. And then fast forwarding to 2016, which is really when I started photographing with intent, both at drag and at the races. I had already been there, but now I have a camera and seeing things through a lens completely changed the way I was experiencing with it and the way I was valuing where I was. I identify as an artist. I am a drag queen. I am a race car driver. I am a race fan. The identity is very complicated, and I've never felt comfortable identifying as one thing at the exclusion of others. I've always struggled and worked to hold all of these things in one space. So I am all of these things, but the identity aspect of it is much more complicated, and it's really important for me to be fluid. You see very clearly the misunderstanding that it takes place between the two communities, and how much of it is steered and created by media representation and the lack of direct experiential encounter with one and the other. There's individually, as myself, I experience there's always something that keeps me separate. I mean, it's much safer to be a race fan in a queer space than it is to be a queer person in a race space. But the ignorance goes both ways. So Checkered Pride is the photographic project that seeks to solve the problem of bringing these two communities in a more integrated space and using photography as a medium to achieve that. One of the things about both spaces that became very clear to me is that on an energetic level or on a vibe level, stripped of their surfaces, they have a remarkable sympathy. There's 600 horsepower engines and 600 horsepower drag queens. There's a vibe and a pulse that I feel that connects them on a level that to me, that was one of the real awesome things that when I really started paying attention and sort of pursuing both of these cultures, places, subjects with the camera, is you just really started to see visually that there is also a similarity. So the project sort of grew in my mind of I'm taking pictures in both places and then combing through these two documents, sort of creating diptychs, conjoining them with where I found that the visual impact had actual similarity. I had a lot of inner turmoil between these two worlds. I am a gay race car driver, I'm a drag queen race car driver, and then you look at these two communities outwardly and they are essentially attacking one another. Then the project really became about integrating these two subjects, getting them to exist essentially on the same page, figuratively and literally, and sort of spread the gospel of my belief that, gays and rednecks can get along. If I was to have a sort of specific hope for what people might take away from the work that I'm doing, look at your own life and see where you have opportunity to deviate from group thinking. There's a river going, be a rock in it for a minute, let it break on you. Be an individual, be an iconoclast. That's the word that I would most encourage people to understand and to exemplify iconoclasm. It is the way to facilitate revolution as an individual.